Hello everyone, welcome back to the SMITE Comprehensive Guide to Mid. This is the Morrigan. Now the Morrigan often is used nowadays as a sort of magic assassin, but she's actually incredibly effective in the mid lane role as well. And she has a lot of unique utility to her that no other mid laner can offer. For one thing, she can turn invisible, which you can actually really use to your advantage to get a lot of surprise ganks on enemies. If you use it right, and that's going to be a combination of timing it correctly and positioning it correctly. And we have a nice standard comp. Actually, the Thanatos being there is really great because I could also use his ult as a way of getting a really nice quick gank. And there's a good way of doing that and a bad way of doing that, and we're going to absolutely be talking about that as we go along here. Let me see. Might as well go with this one. So my landing opponent looks like it's going to be Agni, which poses some mild issue, at least for Morrigan. Pardon me, I needed a sip of kappa. Now, the problem with facing Agni, at the very least, is that once he hits level 5, his range goes a little bit beyond what is available to a lot of mages, including the Morrigan. Now, there are a couple of things you can utilize here. I personally really prefer Sands of Time, but an equally viable option is Conduit Gem. Actually, we might Conduit Gem just so you can see how effective that can be. Conduit Gem is very interesting on the Morrigan due to just plain old being able to slap extremely effectively. You use that with your Dark Omen, and you're really doing a lot of business there. In terms of damage, you're getting bonus damage on your abilities. It's a really lovely time. Dark Omen, incidentally, is what you always want to start with because it does have only a 7-second cooldown. So that's really quite helpful for obviously clearing waves. And then we're just going to... Alright, my mouse is set correctly. Now, the other issue with the Morrigan very specifically is if you're going to go onto an enemy, if you're really aggressing onto an enemy, you want to box early? Yes. The other issue with the Morrigan early on is that her Deadly Aspects ability, which is her, the combination of Dark Omen, Dark Aspects being the combo, that's very close range, which makes it very high risk for her. So she is a bit riskier of a mage to play in mid lane compared to most other mages. So you do want to keep that in mind, that there is that inherent risk there. However, you do have instead a uniquely useful auto attack. Every third shot explodes, doing AoE damage and doing percentage of health damage, which is really interesting and actually can make her an incredibly effective auto attacker. They're not here. I guarantee you the enemy jungler is heading left. 100%. And Sun Wukong really does not care. I told you he'd be there. I just want to weaken him down a little bit here. I'm assuming since Agni is not in lane anymore, he's on his way over here. Or not. What is he? I lost part of a wave, but I got the assist, so it kind of balances out. And that was the explosion right there. You can see the damage happening over time. Early on, this isn't really going to matter, obviously, because 9% of max health at this point is meaningless. But as the match goes on, you're going to want to increase that more and more. Now, obviously, you're going to want to increase Dark Omen. Hello. Going to go ahead and use a health potion here. I'm just going to go on ahead and blast this with the old-fashioned way. Oh. Very good. Very good. That's exactly what we need. Very nice. I'm trying not to die right here. He's spending too much time trying to kill me. Nice. Nice job. Very nice. He is going to need to pay attention to right lane pretty soon. Now, you'll notice that I'm not really going back. I'm not really that concerned. There's Lancelot right there. We're just going to go on ahead and use a health potion and help out Thanatos here. This is primarily due to, one, having a nice boost in MP5 thanks to Conduit Gem, and second, I can use my auto attacks pretty effectively as a form of sort of relaxed wave clear. Agni just came back, so I actually have the time to go on ahead and just casually clear this wave using my auto attacks. It's really not that big of a problem. So we're just going to go on ahead and do this. And then we're just going to head over here. I'll clear this mid lane Harpy here, and then I'm going to go back. I really want this just for the bonus. Never mind. Okay, we're just going to... Oh, wait, we have the totem. In that case, I can stick around even longer. That works out nicely. Yeah, once he hits level 5, this is going to be fairly interesting, because he's going to try to poke me with his ult. I now have my ult, though, so that's fine. Gonna go ahead and use the last health potion. And we're going to use the totem to sustain our mana back up to where we want it to be. Wait for Conduit Gem to max out here. Use the triple shot. There we go. There he goes. Yeah, he's just going to try to poke me out here. Which is fine. I was expecting that. He's using a lot of mana to do so, though. What is his starter item? Because he doesn't seem to have much in the way of... Oh, he's got the hourglass, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Now, whenever I want to do a gank, what I'm going to do is very deliberately turn invisible before making the move to the jungle there. And then at that point, what I'm going to be doing is just transforming into Thanatos very specifically, and then going from there. We're just going to go ahead and clear this up the old-fashioned way. There we go. That was just Thanatos being too aggressive. We're going to clear this next wave. Clear that. We back up. And we're going to go grab our damage buff, because there's really not going to be a lot of issue doing so. There we go. We can go ahead and take this a little slow. I'm not that concerned about my health right now. Agni will definitely be poking me, but beyond that... Now, the interesting thing about using your ult is you basically get 2 sets of abilities very quickly. We're actually going to go back after that. There's 2 reasons we're going back after that. One is I am now low on health and mana, and I really don't have anything else to go with right now. Second is just the simple fact that Thanatos was covering lane, so I didn't need to worry about that. So that was good as well. But that is the unique facet of using the Morrigan's ult, and not a lot of people talk about it. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't think people explain it very well. At least not that I've seen. But basically, the major advantage of Morrigan's ult, because a lot of people ask, well, you know, why is the Morrigan's ult so useful? And a lot of people just say, well, you can access any kit you need, you know, whenever. Which is true. Don't get me wrong. That is a hugely useful aspect of the Morrigan's ult. But what really it comes down to, the true power of the ult, is that basically you are accessing 2 sets of abilities in a very short time frame. Which is really where the real strength of that comes from. When I untransformed from Thanatos, I immediately had access to my own kit, and I unloaded a lot more damage on Kuzenbo right after that, as a result of that very specifically. So that is the sort of true power of the ult is that right after it's over, you get your kit back, which means you get to do more damage to the enemy using that.
An ally has been slain.
Oh, they're right there.
Enemy ultimate down.
You got it too. Very nice. Very nice. I'm about to get my ult too. Get him? Yes. Now you might be wondering how I got that. When I hit an enemy with Dark Omen and they have that little hourglass above them, the next ability that hits them, I do additional damage to them, which is how I get that kill. It's really nice for making sure that you confirm your own kills. It's not super important if you don't get that, but it does really help. There we go. We just cleared this nice and quick. We're going to grab this too while we're right here. Okay. Now notice I'm pretty conservative with invisibility. I don't use it a ton. Too bad I don't have that opportunity. I probably should have rotated over to the right lane. Are you serious right now? No, he's fine. I was going to say, Kuzenbo, really? Okay. Interesting. Getting kind of fresh with this. We're okay. Good. Now, obviously we're going to be increasing our 2 damaging abilities first, but what happens after that? Well, generally speaking, you're going to want to increase your ult first, because that's going to decrease the cooldown on that, which is really nice. That's exactly how you surprise someone. And now I'm out of here. He doesn't need me for Kuzenbo, honestly. Kuzenbo isn't as... Well, he is... Well, he got out. I was going to say, he is dangerously close to death, but... Are you really? Yeah, you are. Okay. Sometimes people will call that out and not actually be building stacks because they just want to get the minion kills. I've seen that before, so I like to double check. There we go. Increase that. He's building stacks, so I actually don't want to be dropping that, but I will grab the mid harpies. We have access to that. We don't have access to that. Okay, fair enough. That's good for you.
Careful left. Enemy missing.
I have no idea where Agni is. That's good. Kuzenbo very definitely is headed left, though. Yep, there we go. We have the whole group right there. That was really nice ult. Ah, shoot. I missed that. Oh. Hello. Oh, this is going down. Thanks, Kuzenbo. Woo-wee. You're, oh, he was dedicated to that cause. He kind of needed the kill, though, so I can kind of understand that. We're now going to go on ahead and go into Typhon's Fang. Now, Polynomicon is useful on the Morrigan because we already want to be using a certain amount of auto attacks anyways. But this also gives us, you know, once we get that stun, that's a free auto attack. If we turn invisible, we can line up. We can pretty easily line up another auto attack because they're not necessarily going to know where we are. Sometimes they do, but a lot of the times they're just going to be roughly guessing, so we can line up a pretty much free auto attack from there. Especially since we have increased movement speed during invisibility, so that's really nice as well. Really helpful in that aspect as well. It's a really nice damage spike for the Morrigan, really. And it's something we really want to utilize as much as possible there to maximize our damage output. I described Typhon's Fang for the penetration mostly and the nice spike in my damage output. Because that is... Oh, hello. Oh, so close to getting him. Alright. And here's Sun Wukong for some reason. Oh! Didn't even notice he was up in the air like that. Alright. Good, good. We need beads. Yeah, if I'd just been able to kill Agni, he had a good Aegis there earlier. That was really nice. That's a lot of damage from that catapult.
On my way.
Be careful.
Alright, we don't know where Anhur is either, so I'm kind of concerned. Where is Anhur? Oh well. Worth the shot. There's more minions here than meets the ear. Alright, fair enough. Okay. Go ahead and clear this wave. And then help Xingtian with that little fiasco there. Good. Alright, I don't know what he's talking about. Xiblanca is ahead, actually, so I'm not that concerned about right lane. Unless he's getting ganked and I don't know about it, which is possible. Increase our ult to decrease that cooldown, so that way we have more options available to us when we need. Oh yeah, Kuzumbo's over there, that's why. Okay, fair enough. Agni's been farming like absolute mad. Look at this guy, he's level 16 out here.
Enemies incoming right. Simply constitute us.
Alright.
Enemy ultimate down.
I think they backed off. Very nice. I'm gonna have to use this opportunity to farm, actually.
You're gonna do something about this?
Okay, they've got it over there. That's not a problem. They don't need me over there. That's fine.
Wow. They should join our ranks.
Let's farm up. That's gone. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and clear this back experience camp. I think he's all... Yeah, he's all done stacking. Okay, good. He wiped out everyone over there, which is exactly what we want to see. Good. Take this Harpy. There we go. Since we can't increase our ult anymore, we'll increase our invisibility. Agni's still dead, so this is another free wave. Good. Alright, and just like that, we're going to be pretty well caught up with Agni. I'm going to go back for this health buff, but other than that, It looks like they're going to go gank left lane, which, again, they're not really going to likely need me for, which is fine. And then we're just going to pop back up here, clear the wave. Agni might be there. It's going to be fairly difficult. There he is. He's going for the damage here. Interesting. Ouch. He's just trying to get the poke.
An enemy has been slain.
Peekaboo.
Your team has fully powered the obelisk.
Constitute us.
Oh, you found me. Nice. Nice. Well, at the very least I survived, so that's good.
That shouldn't be a problem.
That was sizzling.
So sorry.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Look, you're not the only one who's missed ults before. Let's be real. Happens all the time.
You're in trouble.
He really wants me down and out, doesn't he?
Enemies incoming right.
Okay.
This is my moment.
Hi, that's a dive.
An ally has been slain.
I'll distract you, I guess.
Jolly day.
Very nice.
They will fit in quite nicely here.
Your right tower is under attack.
Except Agni's kicking around somewhere.
You're in trouble.
Alright. That's fine, I guess. Good. I lost my mid tower, but that's just going to allow me to farm a little bit safer. I'm not that worried about it. His is halfway down. It's only going to take us one good team fight to get that all resolved. Again, this is partially because he can farm from a safer distance, so he can clear a wave and go somewhere else a little bit faster. Oh, he's right there and low on health, too. They're going to take care of him right there, I think. Yep, there he goes. Okay, that's going to be a huge opportunity for me.
Someone.
I'm just going to go on ahead and take this tower then, I think.
Goons are dying left and right. Double kill. Soon they will be part of the family.
Now, anytime you turn invisible in Conquest, if you can, run for attack. Oh, we're going for a fight. Okay. Anyways, anytime you can, go into the jungle. Because, quite honestly, that's going to do you a lot more good than just running wherever. Because at the very least, even when you lose your invisibility, if they're not following close enough behind you, they're going to lose sight of you in the jungle there. So you really want to, if you can, run from lane to jungle.
You're gonna do something about this?
No. There we go. I was going to say, I don't have any mana as me. Another interesting thing, and that was actually a great example of this, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but when you transform into someone, you get full mana back, or however much mana they have at the time. So it can make for a really great emergency method of restoring yourself. We're going to go for Rod of Tahuti here at this point. And that's incredibly effective. Now, what I'm actually going to be doing, your final item can be a lot of different things. And again, you also don't have to necessarily go with the full lifesteal. I'm only really doing this in this particular match just because this is more how I prefer to play her. But there's not really anything specifically wrong. A lot of people build Doom Orb on her. They build Charon's Coin. I'll build Charon's Coin if the enemy team is tanky enough. This team is not this enemy team. They're not durable enough for that. So I'm not really interested in Charon's coin. I could go Doom Orb, and I probably will in this particular instance. But you could also, like I said, she actually does fairly well with auto attacks. You could throw in a couple of auto attack items if you really wanted to. And that would absolutely work. It really comes down to your preference. There's a lot of ways you can build her very effectively. Hybrid auto attack ability is also not necessarily a bad idea. It really comes down to how you personally wind up playing her, how heavily you rely on your auto attacks for a lot of your damage dealing.
The traitor has been dealt with.
Holy cow.
They were sitting quite
Well, we got that at least.
So sorry.
Excellent.
on special.
That worked out quite nicely. Just gonna grab that for the healing. And then we're going to go on ahead and actually grab Nimble Bancrofts, which I like to grab specifically for the increased attack speed. Now, why not go for one of the Rada Tahuti things? This is because a lot of your abilities really don't have the opportunity to use that. Sure, you might be able to get the Meteor on the stun ability, the, what is this called again? It's not Dark Omen, it's Deadly Aspects. You might get the stun on Deadly Aspects and get the Meteor land right afterwards, but quite frankly, usually you're opening your combo with Dark Omen, so you actually don't see that very often, to be honest. So I often don't find the Calamitous Rod of Tahuti to be that useful a lot of the time. I just don't land the Meteor that often because most people lead with Dark Omen, so a lot of people aren't going to find that useful either. In addition to that, there is also the interesting little aspect of the other version there, the Perfected Rod. You have to hit somebody with an ability twice, any ability, and unless you perfect your combo every single time, that's, not really going to matter. I personally just prefer to increase the auto attack. Well, okay, the Perfected Rod can work really well, potentially, if you look at it. Right? That actually can work really well. But it's only a 1.5 second reduction in your cooldowns, and I'd rather... I personally have a preference for increasing my attack speed because my auto attacks are my safe ranged option for me.
You're gonna do something about this?
That's what I usually use. Because as I mentioned earlier, the deadly aspects, that, you have to get pretty damn close for that to work. So I often use my auto attacks as my way of safely dealing damage from a long distance. Ah, shoot, I goofed my ability. I used the wrong one. I should have gone into Deadly Aspects right afterwards. I went Dark Omen. We still worked out. It still worked out overall. That's fine, but I goofed the combo there. We're just going to go for Doom Orb here for that move speed so we can approach people a little bit easier. But that is why I personally prefer the auto attack version. Again, you can absolutely go for Perfected. That does really work well. Actually, I might show you the Perfected. Well, what I'll do is I'll leave Nimble Bancrofts on for now so you can see this work. You might be wondering, why didn't I increase this to Nimble Bancrofts earlier? Earlier on, you really don't have the magic power for that to really affect your attack speed. So it doesn't matter in the early game. It's more important for you to grab your other items first, your Polynomicon, Rod of Tahuti, Typhon's Fang, the foundational part of your build. Those are more important overall, so I'll finish the build out like this, just so you can see what it looks like. And then, afterwards, I'll switch to the Perfected Rod, so you can see what that looks like as well. Because both work really well on the Morrigan. I've used both. It really depends for me on the situation very specifically. In this particular instance, because Agni is fairly long range, I'm looking for those auto attacks, but I do want you to kind of see both.
Tank right lane.
Oh wait, hold on. Thank you. I missed that completely. I missed everything completely. Auto attacks for the win.
Be right back. Place a ward for teleport.
Duck into the jungle really quick.
Attack!
Goons are dying left and right.
Nice.
Ooh, that's a creative way to get hit. 2-for-1 special.
Auto attacks for the win. Auto attacks for the win.
Wow. We should join our ranks.
Behold. Auto attacks for the win. Goodbye.
Kill.
Case in point for Polynomicon.
We should join our ranks.
That's the last shot.
All right.
My business.
Okay. Good, 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 good. Yeah, Opulence this fool. Nope. I have done goofed. Oh, wait. Nice. They absolutely saved my life. That was fantastic. No problem. Let me just grab this really quick. I'm just going to absolutely slap down some serious damage on my boy here. Now, another thing that nobody talks about is that your copy has vision. So you can actually use it as a temporary ward a lot of the time pretty effectively. And it surprisingly works really well. If you think somebody might be in the jungle, just send your clone out there. I've never been in a situation where I was particularly concerned about that myself. But just keep that in mind, that you can use it as a sort of temporary ward. No, no, no. We got this.
Ooh, that's a creative way to get
We're okay.
rid of someone.
There's a lot of minions in middle lane, so I'm going to want to keep an eye on that. But right now it's more important that we take this tower. Beautiful. There's on her. He's going to jump. And then I'm going to kill him. Or nearly kill. Oh, wait. There we go. Got him. Auto attacks for the win once again. Oh, we're going to have a problem here. I can't believe I got out of that.
Enemy has been slain.
Wow, okay. Nice. Beautiful.
You're gonna do
Yep.
something about this?
We kind of can't. We just lost half our team.
People need our help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just sneak on out of here. Oh, alright. Get out of here, punk. Oh, so close. So close. I almost got him. Get Archmage's gem at this point. Alright, so you've seen the effectiveness of the auto attack, right? Now let's... Actually, we should probably increase our relics first. That's really what I mean by just the auto attacks being so effective on the Morrigan. Even though I'm focusing on my ability damage, just putting in that glyph on the Bancroft, the Nimble glyph, on Bancroft's talent, I can still utilize my auto attacks for some really impressive amounts of damage using Doomsayer. It's really a nice balance, and it catches a lot of enemies off guard because they don't expect a ability-focused mage to have impressive attack speed or even to be hitting that hard with auto attacks. And it really just works out quite well a lot of the time.
Left and right.
It becomes your sustained damage when your abilities are on cooldown. It becomes your ability to clear camps a little more effectively. You've noticed probably that I was really able to use that quite effectively against the Pyromancer. And it just offers you a little bit more utility than what a lot of other mages have in mid lane. And you don't need a lot of attack speed for that to really start to slap either. It's just really nice to have as a little bonus on the Morrigan there. It just really works out quite well. Now, the difference, well, we're paused, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about Perfected Rod. Perfected Rod of Tahuti really allows you to sort of bounce from kill to kill, because it does reduce your... Let me actually show you this. It does actually... oh, it won't let me. It reduces your non-ult cooldowns by 1.5 seconds whenever you get basically a 2-hit combo, which is exactly your combo. Now, in Conquest, I don't usually use this, but when I'm playing the Morrigan in literally any other mode, I actually go for Perfected Rod over Nimble Bancroft. The reason why is because there aren't as many jungle camps, and unfortunately, the Perfected Rod really isn't that useful on clearing the Fire Giant, the Gold Fury, the Pyromancer. It doesn't do anything for any of these, whereas your auto attacks do. So, for Conquest, I build Nimble Bancroft, but for every other mode, I actually build the Perfected Rod, because it's just more effective for clearing these camps. I'm actually not even going to show you Perfected Rod in this episode. One day I'll be doing other modes, and I'll show you there. But I think I'm just going to keep Nimble Rod on here. But you can see right here, I can use my auto attacks to clear that very quickly. Very quickly indeed, and that's just something that Perfected Rod would not provide for me. It would not give me that benefit for that. Again, you don't want to build Nimble Rod early on. You want to build that later on, because it really, you're not going to have the magic power for that to matter at that point. So you do really want to wait until you're later on in the game. You have the power for that to actually make a difference there. And the phone rings. Now we're going to, unless Shibalanke comes back pretty soon, we're going to lose this, but that's fine. Because I've at least been able to demonstrate in this episode everything I wanted to show you with the Morrigan here. And based on the fact that they took out Agni, and they're about to take out Lancelot here. Nope, never mind. Yeah, we're probably going to lose since Shibalanke disconnected. I'm assuming this is a server issue. There were some server issues last night I know of. I'm not going to blame him or go after him for this. I don't... He was in mid lane fighting beforehand, and he didn't die or anything like that. So I'm just assuming that this is a disconnect. But that's fine. But yeah, when you're playing the Morrigan in Conquest, it is generally going to be better to use Nimble Rod, because that is going to provide you those jungle benefits, a little bit of better wave clear later on in the game over anything else. It also really helps taking towers and phoenixes as well, but in literally any other mode, because you are in team fights earlier and more often, generally your better option is to go with the Perfected Rod, because you're fighting enemy players a lot more often than you are in Conquest. At this point, obviously, we're fighting, we're team fighting pretty consistently, but in other modes, you team fight almost immediately, and it gets very ugly very quickly. I completely goofed that. That was entirely me missing literally everything. Which is a shame, because that was a great opportunity. I just mistimed it, basically. Oh, he missed that. He needed to hit that. Yeah, we lose here, but that's okay. That's all right. Like I said, I was able to show you what I wanted to show you with the Morrigan.
Do something about this?
So at the very least, from that perspective, it's a good episode. So I want you to just keep in mind that the Morrigan can absolutely provide a very powerful presence in the mid lane role. She isn't just for jungle. I know a lot of people pretty much exclusively see her as a jungler, which is unfortunate because she, as you can see from this episode, she actually has a lot of capability in the mid lane role, and she can really be effective in the role. And the only reason we lost this is because She Blanque disconnected. We would have won if he had not disconnected, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Now, I don't often deviate too much from this build. This is just how I'm comfortable playing her. Because she is so high risk, I do emphasize a lot more lifesteal. This is actually why I go for Typhon's Fang. Overall, just, again, as I mentioned earlier, using Deadly Aspects does put you in very close proximity to your opponent. So you do, once you get there, you really want to be able to heal back up. Or if the enemy rushes you, you want to be able to heal yourself back up from there. So that becomes very important for that reason. And overall, that's why I focus on this. And again, it is really nice with Polynomicon. You could see where I set up a couple of good shots while I was invisible. Of course, we have the stun. That's very useful. I go for Archmage's Gem primarily because that there is a really nice spike here of power when I use my Dark Omen. Dark Omen is a little bit longer range than most abilities, like Agni. The only real difference is Agni's just hits harder. But Dark Omen has really nice long range. Archmage's Gem, slap that damage on there. Great time. Like I said, I built Doom Orb for the move speed. You can get Charon's Coin if you need Pen. That's fine. Ultimately, this is just how I personally prefer. Let me rephrase that. The way I play, which is pretty aggressive, this has worked for me. Again, there's a lot of ways you can build a Morrigan correctly. I know some people build Chronos Pendant on her so they can ult as often as possible. That's perfectly viable. That can really work. It somewhat banks on the fact that there's going to be somebody in the match with an ult you want. Sometimes there isn't. So I don't personally like doing that. And this is especially potentially troublesome in Joust. If you Joust often, that's kind of a risky strategy because there's only 5 other people that you can pull an ult from. And maybe none of them have an ult you want for that situation. The only real downside to the Morrigan is that she can be very difficult sometimes to use for players who haven't played a whole lot of characters. Now, I've been playing this game for 7 years. I've played every character at least once. A lot of them I have at Diamond, and I'm still continuing to learn more, and I'm still continuing to work on getting them all to Diamond. My personal goal is to get every single character in this game to Diamond, at minimum. Okay? It's a goal of mine. I've played a lot of people for an extended amount of time. I know a lot of these characters by heart. If you're newer to the game, or if you're maining a certain role, or you just haven't played long enough to play all these characters for that amount of time, obviously, there's going to be the occasional moment where you're going to look at a character and you're not going to know what their kit is. You have no idea what they do, or even if you have an idea of what they do as an opponent, you don't know how it actually works mechanically because you haven't played them. So there is that risk. So you have to kind of approach the Morrigan with caution. What I would really recommend you do, if you're really serious about playing the Morrigan and you're new to the game, get every character that you see in a pro game to Mastery 1, at least. Because those are going to be the characters that you will see the most often. Because whoever is played in a pro game is typically played most often by the casual audience of SMITE. They immediately shoot up in popularity. And besides the meta, primarily because the pros basically showcase the meta a lot of the times. Sometimes they'll do something wild that people will then try in casuals that they don't have the skill for. I've seen that a lot. For example, I think the most famous historical example in this game would be Ares Walker in solo lane, which is when the pro player Deathwalker took Ares into the solo lane, which was unheard of at the time, and dominated that lane. It was crippling. He absolutely carried his team for, I think, three different sets, if I remember correctly. It was at least one, but I'm pretty sure it was three. I'm either thinking 3 sets or 3 games. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but he absolutely dominated. It was incredible. It was beautiful. And then a lot of people started taking Ares into the solo lane, but they hadn't practiced, and they didn't have the skill necessary to carry it off. It was a huge problem in the casual scene at that time. Okay? Again, with practice, you can take anyone into any role. Bacchus Jungle is a great example of this. But I had to teach myself Bacchus Jungle here and now. Basically, well, over the past couple of weeks. And Deathwalker had taken Ares into the solo lane in scrims for probably at least a month, if not longer. And a lot of people just don't have that level of practice with that character in that role, which is fine. But you are going to, if you are serious about the Morrigan, whoever you see in a pro game, get them to Mastery 1. So that you at least have a basic understanding of how their kit works. Then when you transform into them, you at least know what you're doing. Maybe you're not truly proficient with them. That doesn't matter. You're only using their kit for a span of less than 10 seconds. Well, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch. You're using it for a span of less than 30 seconds, depending on how often you use it, or what your cooldown is, and etc., and how many points you have in her ult. But you'll at least go into that ult, transform into them, and know basically what you're doing, which is the key there. Alright? So do that if you're going to use the Morrigan. I do encourage players all the time. I don't care what your main role is. Try new things. Okay? Take a new character into Arena first. Get a feel for the kit. Bring him into Conquest. Get a feel for how they play Conquest. And go from there. But with that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you did, please ignore me. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.